Do you want a planner tour? Let me show you around. If you are new to budgeting and using a planner or just not quite sure where to start with money, then this is for you. I'm going to show you how to organize your money plus life to have your best year yet for 2026 with my financial day planner tour and flip through. If you are tuning in when this comes out, you can get this exact digital planner I'm using too for free. This is for the first week only, so make sure and head to the description, grab this planner right now. Hey, I'm Carly, a finance grad and the creator of Best Money Class Ever, where I teach how to pay off debt, invest, and stress less about money. You may have seen me on CNBC's Millennial Money Make It series, where I shared with the entire world my goal to have $1 million by age 45. And I went viral for only spending $124 a month on groceries. Now I'm taking you behind the scenes on my journey from 0 to 1 million. Instead of teaching you how to build wealth and budget, I'm just going to show you my real numbers. Grab a seat. I'm about to spill the financial tea. You ready for it? I am going to be documenting my entire journey from 0 to 1 million, and this is the tool that I'm going to be using behind the scenes to show you my progress. So I wanted to give you a full flip through and tour with planner setups. You might feel like you are a little bit behind. Maybe you feel overwhelmed with your money in your life. You write your goals down, but your money never quite follows the plan. You've got your Google Calendar, your budget app, a million to-dos. There's no system tying it together. So I do hope that this kind of just inspires you to get organized. I wanted to share first why I love planning and budgeting, because I know it's something that people absolutely hate. But I first heard about the power of writing down goals. And whenever I heard that, I wrote down, I was a sophomore in college, save 100K, ASAP after graduation, and then also to become a millionaire. So I saved my first 100K by 26. And so there's so much power in just writing things out and reviewing them regularly. And so I think that that's where planners really come into play, is having that regularly there to look at your goals and your plans. And there's a quote that said, a goal without a plan is just a wish. I do feel like a goal without a budget is just a wish as well. And so for planning, I do feel strongly that managing money isn't about managing money. It's about managing your life. When you have a plan, you can actually do more of the things that you love. And so for me, planning and budgeting has allowed me to travel to over 20 countries. And then also I RV'd across America. I also have a net worth of over $550,000 without earning a ton of money. It's just having a plan is a real big game changer. Framework that I believe is a budget is just simply putting a dollar sign to your to-do list. And so whatever it is that you want to do, your goals, dreams for the 2026 year, if you want to travel, if you want to renovate a kitchen, or if you want to quit your job and start a side hustle or whatever, your budget is what makes that a reality. The Financial Day Planner is a day planner and financial plan in one. We're going to do a deep dive and flip through, but as a heads up, there are two parts. The classic planner is your traditional planner. It has a weekly spread with each day. With the Financial Day Planner spreadsheet, this is the financial side of everything. The mentality that I take on, and I want you to take on as well when you're getting organized with your money in life and planning, is to become Chief Financial Officer and manage your money like a boss. And so I know that people with their goals, their money, they lack accountability, but the idea that you don't have accountability with money shouldn't exist. Ask an accountant or CFO, they literally account for the transactions in a business. So you have the biggest promotion of your life, CFO. So the overview and process that I recommend with planning is to have what's called an annual review. You look at the big picture things that are happening for the year, and then you break that down by quarter, and then you break that down by month, and then you check in weekly. So let me show you what this looks like in the planner. With the Financial Day Planner Classic Planner, it is a digital planner you can use on a tablet with an app like GoodNotes. If you like a printed planner, this is a classic black and white design, so you can print it without spending a fortune on colored ink. So the easiest setup is to do digitally, and then if you want to print it out, this is a 3-ring binder, or my favorite printout setup is the disc system. If you want to get this, you can download this planner, and then I have a full tutorial on how I actually assemble this with the disc and the weight of the paper and all of that. The benefit of the disc system is it's kind of like a 3-ring binder plus a notebook. You could actually tear pages out and then move them around and put them back in. Usually with this, you'd add blank white pages if you have extra things that you wanted to add in. That's kind of where that comes in handy. I also just kind of like the look of it with the black rings. It has like a classic vibe to it. As a heads up, a lot of budget planners that I looked out there, basically you simply like write your income and you write your expenses. This is definitely set up completely different, because what I found is if you're staring at a blank page, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what my expenses are. There's no real framework, especially if you're new. And then also I love carrying my planner with me everywhere. So I'm like, hey girl, on aisle 3, you don't need to be knowing what my expenses are, even though I'm sharing on the internet. Just in general, like day to day in real life, I wanted this to be mostly focused on the life. To get organized with your money in life, I recommend focusing on your life first. This mentality helps if you are like, I hate budgets. This is just focusing on the life and what you want for this upcoming year. Introducing the boss of this budget, you, aka the CFO. You can write your name here, and then we'll have the annual review. Again, most planners just list blank lines and you're like, I'm drawing a blank. I have no idea what my expenses are. This is a new process. As Chief Financial Officer, I have an annual review. An annual review is a big picture look at my money and my life for the year ahead. A lot of times monthly budgets fail because they focus too narrowly on the short term. I like to look ahead of what's happening for the upcoming year. And then on the spreadsheets, that's when I'll put a $ to my to-do list to make sure all the things that I want and need to do for the year are going to happen. You can do an annual review at any time. December is a great month to do this, to get organized for the upcoming 12 months. This is a digital planner, so it's really cool. You can actually hop to the actual month that you want to go to and then hop back. Again, we're going to start off strong by looking at what's going on in your life. There is a 2-year view. You can see each month with the holidays highlighted in gray. So if you're like, what day is Mother's Day? You can look and see kind of a snapshot right there. It's grayed out. And then we have the following year. And then you can do a year at a glance. I have this designed a very fun way. It's grouped by quarters. So there's each of the month for each quarter. There is the day of the week and then the date of the week. So if you're like, what day does my birthday fall on? It's kind of fun to see how the year is going to lie. These do come with national holidays and things like daylight savings or tax day. This is where you can mark if you're going on a vacation, if you're off work, if you have your car registrations due, or any kind of reminder that's happening throughout the year. Q2, we have Q3, and then of course Q4. Up next, for the annual review, you'll have a plan for what's going on in your life with medical, maintenance, projects, celebration, travel, and fun. Make sure and follow. I am going to share my actual annual review and plan. This is just the blank flip through and tour right now. What I like to do when I'm getting organized for the year is review my health insurance plan. And I like to have a plan for the things that I know I'm going to need. So for example, I am your girl for getting some therapy. So I like to find a plan that has like 0 copays for therapy or really low copay, or make sure whatever doctors I have and need are in network. So kind of reviewing up on your plan with the medical stuff right here during your annual review. This has your insurance plan summary, the type of plan like an HMO or PPO, the premium, deductible, coinsurance, max out of profit. And this is really basic, but just knowing like, do I need a referral? Yes or no? This can save thousands of dollars. So if you have an emergency, you go to an ER and then you go somewhere out of network, it's going to be way more expensive. And then also here, you can just write your copays for primary care specialists, mental health, ER, urgent care, prescription, generic versus brand. Before you have some kind of crisis, I like to just jot down what are the virtual doc lines and nurse hotlines to get care in the moment. I do like to establish my care team. So if you don't have a primary care physician, you got to get one. And then knowing like, okay, with my new plan, where can I go that's covered for urgent care and ER, the name of the place, and then their hours, and then whatever other kind of big doctors that I need. So like for me, I had endometriosis, so I have to have a good OBGYN. This year, I think I'm going to do like an eye doctor. I need to find one because my eye's been driving me crazy. If you have a chronic illness or something, instead of being blindsided, it's really cool. You can just like look and be like, okay, this is what happened last year, and this is likely also going to be happening this year or sometime in the future. This is your regular care. So you can put whatever's going on in your life and then the frequency, budget, and annual cost. So for example, I love me some therapy. Let's say you are going to do therapy every other week. Then you'd put the frequency, it'd be 26 weeks over the year. Let's say it's a $20 copay. So then you'd see the annual cost right there. And then whatever prescriptions or supplements that you need, you'll write those there also with the budget and the frequency and annual cost. I used to be blindsided by surgeries, and sometimes you go into you're having no idea what's going to happen, but a lot of times you actually have known procedures that you're going to do. So this is a surgery plan. You can put the name of the surgery, get the procedure code from the insurance, and then find out how much the surgeon, facility fee, anesthesiologist, and pathologist is going to cost and when it's due. Next, you'll have the maintenance schedule. Maintenance is something that really blindsides me and flusters me, but I've realized a lot of this stuff, there's actually something called a maintenance schedule that you can have handy, and you could kind of predict some of these things. So if you have a home, there is a rule of thumb. You have the property value and then multiply it by 1 to 3%. And that's about how much you can expect to spend on maintenance. You might not know what's going to break, but you know it's going to cost something on average. So here are frequent things that you need to do, and then the recommended frequency. You can write when this was last completed for you and when it's due next. This is an estimate of the cost for those things, and then you can write in then your actual budget. Obviously, you're not going to have all these things in 1 year, but the things that you do have, you can highlight and get ready for it. And then the same thing with your car. This has the maintenance schedule for regular things that break and things that you're just going to have to do. You can also see an average annual maintenance based on the value. Obviously, newer cars, you're not going to have that much maintenance because it's brand new, but this will help you stay on track. Next, for the annual review is the fun stuff. So you can bring your Pinterest board to life with this project planner. You can plan up to 4 projects. Each project, you can give it a name, a start date, a due date, and then your CFO approved budget. So these are things that you want to do, things that you're going to buy, and then how much you expect to spend. And then next is your celebration plans. So here are the national holidays, and then I like to list the other special events for me in that particular year. So oftentimes that's friends and family's birthdays. If someone's getting married, or there's a baby shower, or a special anniversary or graduation, I write those down there. Typically I put everybody's birthdays on the year at a glance, and these are the ones that I allocate extra to spend money on. So this is how I'm celebrating, gift ideas and things to buy, and then a budget. And then we have a whole separate sheet for the Christmas plan. So who you're going to give gifts to, gift ideas, how much you're going to spend, traditions and parties, and then other decorations to buy in your budget for that. Here we have the travel planner. So put your adventure plans down and make it happen. So you can plan up to 4 trips for the year. Each trip you have the name of the trip, the date, your itinerary, and things to buy like your flights, accommodations, sightseeing, tours, Ubers, whatever you want. As CFO, you make the plan. And then, of course, is fun. Put a list for the fun that you want to do. So this is divided by concert and events. So if there's a comedy show, list out what you want to do And then here is sports games and league fees. So if you have kiddos and there's select soccer or a kickball league that you're doing as an adult, here's also extra clubs and memberships. So if you're in like a Young Woman Alliance club and it's a $200 annual fee, you can write that there. And then the fun stuff, I also include like tech and electronics. So if you're into gaming, or if you're like, this is a year I want to update the iPhone, believe it or not, you can actually save up and buy it with cash. Or if you want to get a new laptop, whatever, you can write that there. And then here is your CFO self-care routine. I know a lot of people are really into like the hair, the spa, the mani, the pedi. So give yourself permission to spend on those guilt-free. You can just write your haircut, the frequency. So for some people, it's every 8 weeks or whatever. So then you put that there, the cost per visit, and then you can see the annual cost. And then your CFO wardrobe updates. So write out what you need. So if you're like, man, I really need a new winter jacket, or I'm kind of low on the flip-flops are looking a little floppity-doppy, I need to get that updated, have a plan, and get excited for what you want to buy for the upcoming year. Ideas, you can write down whatever notes you like. And then the process that I do is I have the annual review, and that's the big picture for the year. And then for the quarterly review is the upcoming 3 months. Like out of those, what do I want to do for the upcoming 3 months? There are blanks for 5. So your top 5 to kind of make it attainable for the upcoming 3 months. What are you doing this next 3 months for medical, maintenance, projects, celebration, travel, and fun? And as you're going through the year, things are going to change. You might find out, oh my gosh, I have to have surgery. I didn't know that at the beginning of the year, but I do now. So you can kind of adjust and modify your plan. And then for the upcoming month, then you get even more clear on the details with your plan for the upcoming month in those areas: medical, maintenance, projects, celebration, travel, and fun. And then you have your calendar view. Some budget planners, people put like when their paycheck is and they assign a paycheck for their bills. This is just a calendar. The way that I get organized with my money in life is just on this planner, mostly look at my life stuff, and then the spreadsheets are for the financials. So this kind of has just a basic gist of what's going on. And then my favorite part is the weekly spread. So as CFO, you'll then have a weekly review. You'll have a Financial Plus Life weekly review where you write your to-dos for the week. One thing that I love about this, again, is that it is dated. Some people, when they get planners, they don't actually use it. And there's a big barrier when you have to manually write the day of the week, because some people want a Sunday start, some people want a Monday start, but you have to write the day of the week, and you have to write the date, and then you have to write like the national holidays. And then it's just like, too much. Here, the spread is just already done for you. Just fill in appointments, reminders, tasks that you need to do for the week. And another thing that I did with this design is a lot of planners have like 5 a.m. start times, and it starts at like 5, and every day I'm like, oh my gosh, I failed at life because I did not wake up at 5 a.m. No judgment, no times. This is not time. The cool thing is, as CFO, you will also give yourself permission to buy. So here you'll write for this particular week, like errands and things that you want to buy. Having a list prevents impulse buys, which leads me to our meal plan. So usually I fill in my weekly review, what's going on in my week, and then based off of that, I'll plan my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Usually for me, like Friday nights, I'll go out to eat with my friends or get takeout. Saturday, maybe it's a birthday party, there's going to be food or something. And then all the other days I'll plan the meals based on what's going on in my life. Then I'll write my grocery list. I did go viral for being the #1 trending article on Apple News for only spending $124 a month on groceries. This is the actual planner that helped me do that. If you download this planner, you'll get a bonus video on how to save thousands of dollars on groceries. So that comes with this download. But the gist and the #1 tip is to write a list. So Hannah was on, said something, make a list, check it twice. 60 to 70% of purchases at a grocery store or impulse buys, a list will prevent that. I like to write down all the ingredients that I need for the week here, once. I check it before I hit the store, make sure I have everything I need. And then I take this with me at the store and I literally just highlight. I only buy the items on the list. That is the classic planner. It has 52 weeks throughout the year. There's the annual review, the quarterly and monthly checkups, so you can stay on track with your money and life throughout the year. Now let's dive into how I get organized with my money and life with the Financial Day Planner spreadsheet. Now with the classic planner, that was mostly looking at the life and getting a big picture of what's going on for the upcoming year. Then we hit up the spreadsheets to make that plan a reality. First, before showing you, I wanted to kind of explain the idea behind the Financial Day Planner spreadsheets. I know there are a million different apps, and basically what they do is they sync all of your accounts, your bank accounts, your credit cards, and you can look and see everything that happened in one place. However, typically people are like, these are all the bad decisions that I already made. There is no big picture. There is no forecasting. Checking your balances on the regular is not really super helpful. Are you with me? Getting that instant view is not going to move the needle when it comes to demolishing your debt, building your net worth, saving for a home, or just having more control with your money and your life. What I found with most budgeting apps is they literally only allow you to budget for the upcoming month. And if there's anything in the future that's slightly larger, like say a $300 flight or buy Christmas gifts, you have to do a million different sinking funds. And that's how you account for these future purchases. I like to have an annual budget where I can just hop on over to whatever month and have that forecasted for the year in advance. So I think you'll love this system as well. I found that there are often like budget spreadsheets, and then there's a separate debt calculator, and then a net track calculator, and then a home ownership affordability calculator, and then a investing calculator. And they're not really synced together with one system. So the Financial Day Planner spreadsheet is literally like an all-in-one tool that I use to get organized and have everything just right there on one spreadsheet. The other thing is these spreadsheets don't really give you insight or like a recommendation on how much to save, how much to pay off towards debt, how much home you could afford, how much your rent or mortgage should be every month. And so these spreadsheets really have an actual finance plan with them. What I do is something completely different. Now, I don't know why in the personal finance world, nobody talks about money this way, but people typically have the word budget. They always use the word budget. When setting up my money in life, the framework that I use is I use financial statements. I freaking love financial statements. This is what the Fortune 500, like billion-dollar companies use to manage the money. So kind of like if you want to get in shape, you want to find a really good trainer or star athlete. If you want to get your finances in order, you got to just use what the pros use, okay? And that is financial statements. They help you really get a feel for where you stand with your money and your life. In short, a balance sheet is your snapshot of where you stand in your net worth tracker. Your income statement is where you forecast your income and expenses. You create a budget that you can automate for the rest of the year. Your statement of cash flow shows the inflows and outflows in a month. And this is what I use to track my spending and stay accountable for the year. Let's take a look. Get excited. Okay, whenever I am getting organized with my money and life, the first thing with the financials is I like to see exactly where I stand. And that's the first thing you'll see in the Financial Day Planner spreadsheet is your balance sheet. No more head in the ground. Your balance sheet will show you exactly where you stand at any given point in time. It is a snapshot. It's kind of like your DTR with money. It's also the ultimate BS indicator. It shows, are you looking rich, but just kind of borrowing your way? Or are you actually truly building wealth? For the beginning of the year, you'll have your starting amount with all of your assets. So an asset is everything that you own, like your bank account, savings, 401k, investments, pension, 529 plan, home, car. And then your liabilities is everything that you owe, like the home loan, the car loan, the credit cards, student loans, IOUs. And then your net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. This really helps you get a feel for what's going on. It's your big picture. And then this is something that I come back to at the end of each quarter. The end of the quarter is written up here. It's the end of May, June, September, and year end. Once you fill in your numbers, you'll see there will be nice populated little charts and graphs. And then over here is an annual investment gains and savings goal. So you can set goals for each of the accounts. This is for your assets. So, for example, if you have an emergency fund, you have a goal, and then you'll see throughout each month the year to date contribution, the year end balance, and then how much that has grown and what your return was. Then, if it is for retirement, you'll click on it and that will be used in your forecast for retirement planning. Up next is the revenue analysis. If you found that it's kind of hard to plan because your income varies, maybe you have freelance work, side hustle income, or even just bi weekly, where some months you get 2 paychecks, some months you get 3, and you just really don't know. And so the revenue analysis is your ultimate income planner. I created this because whenever I graduated college, I went from college student to entrepreneur. My income was never the same. So I wanted to have a system to evaluate. Here you actually have, you can enter up to 4 jobs, and then you'll have your gross paycheck and then all of your deductions. You'll see your take home pay. You can then put the frequency, if it's monthly, semi-monthly, bi-weekly, or weekly. And then it's really nice to also every year, I like to recommend people to touch base, like, how much am I actually contributing to a 401k plan? Do I have a contribution? What's going on? And then this isn't a spreadsheet, this is a finance plan. If you missed the finance plan episode number 1, it's your step 1, 2, 3, and 4 with money. Step 1 with the finance plan is to save 10%. And if you're in debt, you would do 5 towards retirement and 5 towards an emergency fund. So once you have your paycheck here, it'll actually show you exactly how much to save for an emergency fund and also for your investments. And then if you have a bonus, if it's like quarterly, annually, you can also factor that in as well. Part that I really like is over here. It is the irregular income estimator. If again, you have freelance work or self employed, I do recommend taking some time and going over your historic pay for the last year, which is kind of crazy, but it's really, really cool. So, for example, with my home security business, I put in and got an average of what I was taking home after business expenses, after taxes, to pay myself $1,900 twice a month. And that helped take the guesswork out. And then I could regularly save a 10% and then have a plan with my money. Next, I'm going to show you how to create a budget that you can automate. I will do a full video, most likely. Let me know if you'd want to check this out on how to create a monthly budget. For now, since we're doing the full tour, I'm going to kind of keep this simple. When you're creating a budget, you really just need to know 3 things: your income, your fixed expenses, and your flex expenses. So most everything is completely known, literally fixed, and 100% in your control. So on your income statement, in businesses, this is also called a profit and loss. This will be what we use to forecast for the year. Up here, you have your savings pre tax. You'll put in what it is right now, the budget, and then this is your income. This is your take home pay. And then this is your savings after tax. Again, the cool thing about this setup is it'll actually show you the recommendations of how much to save and invest. You'll see that on the tab right over here. And then the next fixed expense category is charity or regular giving. Then we have your housing. So that's your rent or mortgage. And if you are a homeowner, your property taxes aren't included. You can put what the annual estimate is, get a monthly amount to put that over here each month. And then I am a fan. I know like electricity, water, gas, trash aren't the same. They're not literally fixed, but I like to get an average of the last 3 months and use those to forecast out for the year. So the cool thing about this income statement is once you put the income and the fixed expenses, it'll forecast everything out for each upcoming month. So the next category is your insurances, like your car, health, life, anything that is not already taken out from your paycheck. And then your services, the subscriptions, the gym, the internet, the cell phone, and then you have your debt. Again, this has included the finance plan. So with the finance plan, step number 2 is to pay off all of your debt. So you'll put in here all of your minimums plus the extra Spartan amount, which is 300, like the Spartans, to go towards your highest interest debt. And so that is your income and fixed expenses. For your flex expenses, as CFO, I recommend having a set amount for your operating expenses. Now, this quick story. Whenever I first wanted to get my finances in order, I heard about the idea of having a cash budget. And so they had cash envelopes. Essentially, you'd have a set amount of cash for your groceries, set amount of cash for eating out, set amount of cash for entertainment like movies, your envelope for haircuts, an envelope for pet stuff. And I was like, whoa, this is super complicated. Why don't we put a set amount of cash in my wallet just for the week? So the idea of weekly cash was born. Now, as CFO, weekly cash is what I use for my operating expenses. So that is things that people tend to overspend. And it's basically, as a CFO, what you need to just function, which would be groceries, putting gas in your car, and eating out, and then other day to day like household things. Here is the recommendations for your weekly cash. I am going to show you my full budget for the upcoming year, so make sure and subscribe. Spoiler alert, I take out $120 cash and make it last for the week. Then, when you're creating an annual budget that you can automate, you'll see the P&L or profit and loss summary. We want to make sure you have a profitable budget. From the Financial Day Planner Classic Planner, you mapped out all the fun things that are going on in your life and some not so fun things too, like your medical, maintenance, and then the project, celebration, travel, and fun. When you're creating a budget that you can automate, instead of having a million different sinking funds, I just like to have basic budget where you have at least $500 for these flex or irregular expenses that are going to change from month to month. The kind of set recommendation is $500. And I call these flex life reinvestments. So, as CFO, you have your vision for the year and you will want to have at least that 500 for a regular standard month. As CFO, then what you'll do is you'll go in advance for the upcoming months and mark what those specific things will be for those specific months based on your life and what you value. So you want to create a budget where you can spend in line with your values and your life. You'll see then there is the profit or loss. Again, we want to make sure we have a profitable budget. And then the ending balance or your retained earnings. That would then be the starting balance of the next month. Once you filled in your income and your fixed expenses, then you will create your ideal budget. So you want to create this where you're actually following the finance plan. So a lot of times people are like, oh, I don't know how much to save, and they'll try and save after they spend. So with this, we're going to make sure you're saving 10% upfront. And then we're also going to make sure you're paying at least 300 extra to your debt upfront. And then to make this happen, what you're going to have to do as CFO is you're going to have an executive plan. You're going to cut, keep, lower, or increase line by line each item to make this plan work. And then as CFO, you'll give yourself a deadline. You can then see your executive plan. So any cuts that you make, you'll see the current annual amount and then the net difference when you make those changes. Pretty cool, huh? Your income statement will then be forecasted for each budget for the upcoming year. So once you fill in your housing and your uh, debt payments and all that, it'll be on your income statement for the upcoming year. And then as CFO, all those things from your Financial Day Planner Classic, when you did your annual review, you'll mark in. So for example, if you have like a copay every month for therapy, you'll enter that there. Whatever month you have your car registration, you'll enter that there. If you have a big anniversary or a wedding, you'll enter that on the actual month that those irregular flex life purchases will be incurred. Then, as CFO, I want you to spend in line with your values and I want you to stay accountable with money. What you'll do as CFO is you will actually enter in your cash flow, your actual inflows and outflows within the month. So you'll have your starting balance and then each transaction throughout the month. Then you'll have the categories that we just talked about: income, saving, charity, housing, insurance, service, debt, weekly cash, and then medical, maintenance, projects, celebration, travel, and fun. I have here a calendar view so you can mark important dates, and then you could also have important things of what's going on in your life. This is the annual budget summary. You'll see the forecast of what you anticipate for this month and the total amount in that category for the year. And then this will have your actual spending from your cash flow. And then this is the year to date actual as well. You don't need to be in debt forever. This stat calculator will show you exactly what it takes to pay everything off within 36 months or less. So, quick view of how it works. You put in the current date, and then there is the debt snapshot. You have up to 20 slots for each of your debts, and then you'll put the balance, your interest rate, and payment. You'll see the total amount that you're paying towards debt. And with the Spartan method, basically you will pay all of the minimums plus an extra 300 or more to the highest interest debt. And once that highest interest debt is paid, you'll take that old payment plus the extra Spartan amount and throw at the next highest interest debt, so on and so forth. And you will see when you scroll down here exactly when you will be debt free. Up next is the finance plan. So the cool thing about this, again, it is a complete finance plan. It's your step 1, 2, 3, and 4 with money. Once you've done the revenue analysis, this will show you exactly what your 10% is for your household, including partner's income, side hustle income, your bonuses, all the things. And then step number 2 is to get out of debt. So this will show you during your debt payoff, you will have also saved 5% and invested 5%. This also includes a forecast of if you're saving 5% in a high yield savings account, what that would be once you are debt free. And then the cool part about this plan, and nobody's doing this, is it turns a liability into an asset. So once you're debt free, this will show you if you continue to take what you were paying towards your debt plus that extra smart amount, exactly when you'll have that full completed emergency fund. And then step number 4 is life purchases. At this point in the finance plan, the investments are off to a really good start. You've got money in the bank for a rainy day. The sky is the limit to save up for the fun things. So this shows, based off of your revenue analysis, exactly how much home you can afford, what your monthly mortgage payment would be, and you can even get an estimate for property taxes and insurance. With the loan calculator, you'll also see the difference of what a 30-year versus 15-year is. You can see how much car you can afford, your monthly payments, and then also if you buy it with cash, how long that would take you to save up for. And then you can see the return on investment. So you could see what the ROI is for if you're thinking about like going back to school or for kids evaluating different programs, which ones are worth it. The idea of seeing your money work and grow for you is exciting, but you have no idea. And you don't want to see your 80-year-old self like living off of the grid because you run out of money. This shows exactly when you can become work optional. A lot of the retirement calculators are very kind of basic. It's just like you invest this amount each month, and then this is how much it'll be 30 years from now, right? We want a little bit more. So the cool part about this retirement calculator is it also applies the finance plan. This is where you can really see the magic. So for the finance plan, once you are debt free, once you have emergency fund, you can actually invest what you were paying towards your debt, which is quite fascinating. So that shows when you supercharge your investments. And then so here it has your annual spending, because with retirement planning, you want to know, right? The rule of thumb is to save 25 times your annual spending. And then you'll put in the current year, your current age, and then this is the age you'll stop investing. The default is 65. You can see what happens if you semi-retire and withdraw just 4% of your nest egg, and then also when you fully retire. How this works is year by year, you will see your investments grow and compound. And then once you are on step 4 with the finance plan, you'll see what happens when you invest that extra amount. And then the cool thing is once you do retire, this will actually show what happens to your nest egg when you withdraw and use that money. And here is the cool part. This also has where you can factor in your other retirement income. So let's say you retire at 55, you're going to withdraw $60,000. But then once you are 65 or 70, you start taking your Social Security, you'll actually withdraw less because you have those benefits. So it is very dynamic. I think that you will absolutely love it. With this spreadsheet, again, you'll create a budget. You can automate what you fill in your income and fixed expenses. They're forecasted for each of the upcoming months. And then you will, for each individual month, what I like to do is just put a dollar sign to that to-do list that I did with my annual review. And then throughout each of the months, I will track what actually happened. Like I mentioned, I'll probably do a full video on how I create a budget, and then I will show you my real numbers of my annual review. I do track my weekly cash spending over here and categorize with groceries, gas, food or drinks, or other. And then it's kind of cool. You can see a year to date how much you're spending in those categories. Here, one key thing with financial independence, retiring early, is everything is based off of what you spend in a year. So if you don't know those numbers, you're kind of just guessing. So after a full completed year, you'll have an annual report that breaks everything down for you of what you spent in each of the categories. Hopefully you like the spreadsheets and planner as much as I do. And I also wanted to say hello there, my yellow groupers. If you missed the first episode, every show has a name that they call their audience and listeners. So your name is a yellow grouper. Quick story, when I was in kindergarten, my teacher, Mrs. Shields, gave everyone a level. The red group was for fast readers, the blue group was mid-level, and the yellow group was for slow readers. And so, of course, I was in the yellow group. I have never been one to have a natural knack for things. And so with that sentiment, I wanted you to go into planning for 2026 as a yellow grouper. Like, we don't have to have everything perfectly in line and organized, maybe just a little bit more organized than we did last year. Because I am a yellow grouper, if you feel like you have a slow start, you're behind, that's also why I use the color yellow on the spreadsheet, just to remind you that, hey, wherever we are right now doesn't mean that's where we're going to be forever. We can turn things around. I'd like to address the elephant in the room. I am wearing the same exact outfit as I did on episode 1. I am, for the unforeseeable future, going to have a uniform. This is going to be my podcast uniform. Kind of like the Steve Jobs black turtleneck and jeans situation. I don't want to have analysis paralysis. I like what I like, so I'm going to be wearing this black dress. This is my CFO dress. Here is a money win from a real person just like you. This is a best money class ever student. I wanted to just share her quick story. She was a PhD student and she felt completely behind. All of her friends had graduated, started jobs, started making money, started contributing to retirement, and she was, getting her higher education. She was still in school for like 6+ years after all of her friends. So she felt like this crazy behind vibe. So before she even got her first paycheck, she wanted to get her finances in order. Here is what she said. She said, I wanted to make sure I could hit the ground running and not have to retire 6 years later than everyone else. She wanted to get her budget in order for her first paycheck. And so now, after going through all the numbers and the spreadsheet, she's automatically contributing to her retirement. Each month, she has this aggressive plan to pay off all of her student loans within the 36 months. And she knows exactly what it takes to do that. For her, it was $600 extra. Her advice is personal finance can be mystifying, especially if you are going through like a life change. She said that oftentimes in school, they don't teach you these things, but filling in her statement of cash flow was a great exercise to see where all of her money was going every month. And she does recommend tracking your expenses when you have a big life change, like having a baby, moving, getting married. Her advice is it just is a chance to completely start over. She acknowledged that our generation has more debt and less income than oftentimes our parents. This isn't really a good time per se to be in our age. When she was in school, she kind of had the mentality like, oh, this is a problem for another day. But then she got to the point where she was like, the other day has come and it's time to actually look at her finances. Her interest rate was crazy high, and so she is excited to pay it off as soon as possible. You can pay things off too. Up next, I'll be sharing my annual budget and plan to become a millionaire. So make sure and subscribe. That is the behind the scenes of how I organize my life plus money with my planner tour and flip through. So you saw the blank versions. I'm going to be filling them out and showing you my actual plan with money. Hopefully you can take a couple of those things when you're planning and getting everything set up for 2026. If you want to use the exact planner that I have, you can grab it in the link below. The digital planner is going to be for free this week only. I'm really curious. I would love to hear from you. How are you getting organized with your money in life? What planner are you using? What did I miss out? Let me know in the comments below. Spill your financial tea. Leave a comment if you're listening to Spotify or watching on YouTube. If you've been meaning to get your finances in order, now's the time, and this is the best place to start. Thank you so much for watching. Here, you'll overcome analysis paralysis with the finance plan. This is the roadmap that you've been looking for to pay off debt and retire a millionaire, even if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you have no idea where to start. Did you like the show? Then make sure and like it and share it with your friends who also geek out over money. Leave me a 5-star review wherever you're listening. It really helps others who are on a mission to pay off debt and invest find this show. Best money class ever, my signature live and virtual personal finance class, only happens once a quarter, and next class is starting soon. You want in? You can take the intro to class for free. Head on over to bestmoneyclassever.com to save your spot, and you'll instantly get a free downloadable 20-page guide on how you can start the finance plan. As always, remember, you only live once. Be smart with your money now. I'll catch you later. Bye.